Good evening, and I want to call the regular meeting of the Brattleboro Selectboard on Tuesday, March 20th to order. Has the meeting been properly warned?
Yes, Madam Chair, it has.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the March 6th and March 14th meetings?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve the March 6th and March 14th meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments or questions or edits to these meeting minutes?
I think that we should ask John to do all the motions.
Oh, yes.
I don't think
Last
so.
chance.
I don't think so.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm going to be the bearer of some bad news tonight. This is John Allen's last select board meeting. And
I don't even think it's bad.
and we are sad.
Yeah.
We are
See the
sad.
tears.
And I just want to say, and I'm going to get mushy for a second, John.
Oh, you are not?
Well, only for a second.
Okay.
This is John's second tour of duty, because you were on once before.
Yes, with your mom.
That's correct. He was on with my mom. And this might be your last select board meeting for now, but it doesn't mean it's your last forever, because you could come back for a third tour of duty.
There's not enough drugs out there.
You've got represented.
No.
I think this is John's hiatus.
Yes, this is it. I
Going
have
on
been,
sabbatical.
that's right.
Is that profane?
Yes, it is.
And John, we've been on the select board together for 5 years.
Yes, we have.
For 4 of those years, I sat next to you.
Yes, you did.
Sometimes we got along, sometimes we didn't.
Yes, we did.
More often than not, I think we did get along more than often.
Well, you
than we
rolled
did.
your eyes a lot.
I did roll my eyes a lot. But and again, this is going to be the mushy part.
Okay.
What I appreciate on being on this select board is that there are 5 people who all come from different backgrounds and different perspectives. We're people that have day jobs and come here after hours. I don't know how many people actually realize that. And you have been very true to your voice on representing the taxpayers and the people of the town of Brattleboro. And I think every decision you make has reflected that. And I for one, have appreciated that. And I don't know, sometimes we know that comments are made on certain social media outlets that drive us all crazy. Not the outlets drive us crazy, but sometimes the comments drive us crazy. But, serving on the board with you, I know that the decisions that you make really are looking out for the people of the town of Brattleboro. And I'm going to miss that. But your select board duty is not completed because you still have the town meeting.
Town meeting.
And you have to drive me home tonight. Everybody doesn't know that John gives me a ride home after every single meeting.
Lives 4 houses up.
So that's been part of John's responsibility. So, lightheartedly but seriously, I really do want to thank you, John, for your service.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much.
And we can hug after the meeting.
We can hug that.
That's my comments for the night. I don't want to say anything more.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Does the town manager have any comments?
I'll just also thank John for his service, but I'll settle for a handshake.
We can hug. Brothers hug.
Now, does anyone else on the select board have any comments?
Oh, I do. Oh, we back to select board?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a brief one,
Yeah.
but it's been 5 years for me too, and it's been, I'm not sure what the right word is, or fun or challenging or interesting or whatever.
Challenging is a good word.
Yeah, but there are times we discuss, times we don't, and that's
Exactly.
that's run of the mill.
Yep.
But I just want to say I appreciate that when you think you're right, you hold your ground, and you try to convince us. And when you're not sure, you listen and you change your mind. And I don't think that there's much more you could ask of somebody in this kind of service. So thanks.
David, thank you very much. Coming from you, that's a lot. I know it is.
It's been 1 year.
I know.
We disagree most of the time, but we agree sometimes, and we always treat each other very well.
Yes, we do.
And so I enjoy that relationship.
Thank you. Tim?
And John?
Yes?
John, I wanted to say something. And I made a post on iBrattleboro.
And I saw that and I thank you.
thank you for your service, as they say, and thank you for just being very full of candor and humor and keeping us all smiling and working hard, keeping our feet to the fire. And also, I apologize profusely for not being there in person, because I did want to be there.
Yeah, work. Who are you kidding? You're down in the sunshine. Thank you, Tim.
I have a lot of diapers to buy.
Yeah, that's right. You do have a lot of diapers.
Thanks again, John.
Thank you, Tim. I first want to thank my greatest supporter, and that is my mother-in-law, who's absolutely, so Nancy Crafts, how are you? She's up at Grace Cottage Hospital right now, and hopefully we're going to get her home soon, but I don't know what she's going to do now on Tuesday nights without her beer and pizza, so hopefully we can get her into Canasta or something, but she has just been a great supporter of mine. I want to thank everybody. It's been a lot of fun. You know, from this whole crew over here, I couldn't have done it without it. Looking for this guy for, what was it, 2 years, a year and a half? And everybody on the board. David, you're right. We didn't agree a lot, but it didn't matter. We all left after every meeting with a smile on our face. I don't think we had a bad word ever.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. I want to thank my ASL interpreters over there. They were fantastic. VCDP, I could go on and on. Chris and Lise from Brattleboro, thank you very much.
They're all the gray hair.
I know. I do want to say one thing, though. For the 7 people on Brattleboro that hate my guts, I just want to say, first, use your real name. It would be much better if you did that. And secondly, lighten up. Life is too short. So thank you very much. I've had a great time and a good run, and town meeting. Town meeting. So thank you very much. I hope Nancy was awake for that.
She can watch it on rebroadcast if she doesn't. Now it's time for public participation, which is a time in the agenda for people to speak or comment on things that are not on the agenda. So Dale, if you come to the microphone, if you could say your name, where you're from.
Lately?
Yeah.
Well, I had the flu 3 times this winter, and besides, I only come if there's a problem. You know that.
That's true.
And so you guys have been really lucky. There has not been a real big problem till tonight.
You don't drive on Western Avenue like us.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, my name is Dale Joy, and I have talked about the ethics of landlords in town. Now I want to talk about the ethics of town employees.
Uh-oh.
Okay? Peter is aware of what I'm going to ask, I think. And this is about the ethics of Rod Francis, who is being nominated to be on the Windham Commission Board. He's still in question, and he's still being investigated. And I don't understand why he's moving up in the political world. Okay?
I don't think it's appropriate that there's just a delay there like that.
Yeah, but I don't know if you'd like to address that.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. So, Ms. Joy will expand upon her remarks if what I say next is incorrect, but I believe I know what you're speaking of because you did communicate to me some months ago about concerns about Rod, but as I conveyed to you at that time, the concerns you were raising all related to, for those of you on the board, some of you who are directly involved in this matter, the Town Arts project and the National Endowment of the Arts grant that we received, and there were indeed some ups and downs through that. And one point, actually early in my time with the town, it appeared that the grant might not be completed successfully. But what went on after that, through that spring and summer of 2015, and we can go into this another time in a more appropriate setting when it's warned and the public has an opportunity to be here, and go as deeply as the board would like to go into how it was resolved. But there was a very thorough, very public process by which the artists were selected, and the grant was completed successfully for the town. It involved 34 or 36 different proposals, and it involved 2 separate panels of members of the public. In total, approximately somewhere between 15 and 20 members of the public who were actually the ones who made the selection. So again, we can go point by point, provide a timeline, we can do whatever you'd like there. There are people in the community who are unhappy with both the process and the outcome of what happened with the Our Town grant, but it is a matter that has been fully scrutinized and fully vetted, including by the NEA, and so it's unfortunate to hear that kind of an allegation in public, naming a name without anything behind it. And the facts are what they are and can be made really clear once again, as they have been in the past.
It has not been fully vetted by the National Endowment. They're still going through the process. I just barely sent them enough of the information to give a real sound pattern of what he did with the information from witnesses that were on his board. Okay, when he set up all those committees, there were like, 70 people? Very few of them liked what he did. And when he came in here and said there was not one artist in this town that was qualified, and he gave it to Peter Shumlin's sister-in-law, that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So this, if you want this information, I'll give you more.
Maybe what
But yeah, we're not done with this.
Yeah, maybe what we need to do is talk about, if we want to talk about it at a future meeting.
Sure.
I'm more comfortable with that one here.
Yeah, because some of the select board member, Brandy was not on the board at the time, Tim wasn't on the board, and we had a new member.
Sure.
So some of us, and we were involved in the process, so we understand what went on, and maybe we can do an informational.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
We'll provide a full description of both what happened that got the grant into a difficult situation, and then what happened in salvaging the grant, and particularly those events from the spring and summer of 2015 are what are particularly still hanging around in terms of different people having different perspectives on it in the community.
Yeah, and the select board was involved. We ultimately made the decision on
correct.
what the project was going to be. So we're fully aware of, we were involved. The select board at that time was involved. So it might be good to get the new people up to speed.
Very good.
Does that make sense? Is there anything else? Anyone else who wants to talk about something that's not on tonight's agenda? Yes, Nick. Even though we know who you are, please identify yourself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. For the viewers out in the audience.
Nick Nickerson, Brattleboro, last 5 years. And reading about and hearing about the Parkview school murders, shootings, I've been saddened by the supposed multitude of complaints about the shooter before he ever began shooting, and how they were ignored. And I think it would be good if there's any doubt that our PD department would ignore calls. I can't imagine that happening here in this town. Is there any problem with that? With police response to threats, and did children realize that they can call Brattleboro PD if they hear or read on their social media of someone threatening firearm violence in the town of Brattleboro? Is that clear to people, do you think?
I certainly hope it's clear to people. There's been actually a tremendous amount of communication between the schools and our public safety personnel specific
it's
to...
ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not just, we met a few times, it's ongoing.
And specific to the concerns that have emerged around how to properly handle fire alarms. So that is being directly addressed, but more broadly than that, there's collaboration, extensive collaboration about how to keep the kids safe.
And I gotta believe that knowing Chief Fitzgerald, that he's probably more on top of it than we even realize. And then also having, the retreat in town that keeps us, on a close watch. And I got a feeling that there's a lot of oversight. Is there always enough? That's the $1,000 question.
All right, is there anyone else in the public that has anything that's not on tonight's agenda? All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to convene as liquor commissioners?
So moved.
We have a motion to convene
You're
as...
gonna make me do everything.
You're gonna do them all, John.
Make some up for
I
you.
just looked down at his,
I had to let you know.
And even the big, long ones. So we have a motion to convene as liquor commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Tim, you still with us?
Anyone
Oh,
opposed?
yes, I can,
Yeah, anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. This agenda item came out of the meeting we had with the annual renewals of liquor licenses, and as everyone knows, we now do them in bulk. But what we do is we go through and we can pick out ones that we have some concerns about. We asked to meet with Avenue Grocery, Price Chopper, Indo-American Grocery, AB Squared, which is Arkham, and Hotel Pharmacy. Hotel Pharmacy had a conflict about coming tonight, so Mary Giamartino wanted to be here herself, so she's going to come at the first April meeting. And what I want to do is sort of reassure the people that are the representatives from these establishments that are here tonight that this happened last year too, so you are not being picked on.
This is not the Spanish Inquisition.
Right. And pretty much what we'd like to hear from you folks is what you've done to correct the problem. And I think for most cases, it was your first offense, I'd say, of selling to a minor, but we can talk to each of you separately, but we'll do that. So this, again, we just want to make sure before we issue a liquor license that we're all on the same page of what happened. And what I think we'll do is we'll just go right down, and if you want to come up to this table, it's, you can be
Or you
comfortable.
can stand at the mic,
Right.
Yeah.
But we'll do the Avenue Grocery first. And I think, and Hillary Francis, our town clerk, is here too.
Hi,
If we
Hillary.
have any questions, because Hillary's the one that deals with it.
Hi.
And as we understand, it was a sale to a minor, your first such incident.
Yes.
And I guess if you can explain to us maybe what happened and what corrective measures hopefully
Yeah.
you have taken corrective measures.
No, sure. So I was working at the time, so I take full responsibility. And the individual came in and tried to buy a beer, and I actually did card them. So I mean, it's not like we don't card people, but honest, it's just an honest mistake. I didn't read the ID carefully enough, and I might have been confused, a bit, and so we failed that compliance check. Also, I would like to say, these compliance checks are kind of like a form of entrapment. I think, I'll just say that because probably no one else will say that. But
We'll say it too.
But
That's the idea.
But it's cool because probably that was the only time we've ever sold alcohol to a minor. It just doesn't really happen at our store, and it just happened. It happened this time. I now know that. So in terms of what we've done to correct it, I retook the online training from the liquor. Department of Liquor Control, and I now know that anyone born before today's date in 1997 is too young to buy alcohol. So again, it was an honest mistake. I think I was actually just kind of tired that day. I don't have any big excuse. I just should have looked at the ID more carefully.
It happens.
But now we're being very vigilant and carding everyone and making sure that we read the date correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really think that's the whole, and you know.
That's all we ask.
It is a little bit of an entrapment thing, but it's probably a good one to every now and then be made aware of, you know, what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it's, and that's really what it comes down to. And believe me, I was a bartender for a long time, and I got bleary-eyed reading those things after a while. And so, you know, I'm sure I missed a few, but
Oh, and maybe
it does happen.
Totally. And I guess I would also like to say, like, we did pass 2 other compliance checks where a minor was sent in to buy tobacco. I was also working, I carded them and I denied them. So just as an example that we do take it
Yes.
seriously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anyone on the board have any other questions?
No.
All right.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to vote on who we give the liquor license to in a minute. So hopefully you pass. We don't know.
Oh, that's
Nice,
That's
Kate.
awful.
Nice.
Well, you know,
That's
I don't want to pursue what we're doing. Price Chopper. And you folks had the same issue. Your first.
What's that?
You had the same issue selling to a minor.
Yeah.
Your first such.
In 18 years,
And I was just going to say,
a
that's
very long
that's
time.
pretty good.
Kate, can we identify the speakers, please?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Could you tell us who we are? You are.
Brenda Boyle.
And my name is John Buchanan. I'm the store manager for Price Chopper here in town. We are converting over to Market 32, and hence the renewal request. So,
So I don't know if you want to tell us what happened and what corrective measures you may have taken to.
well, I wasn't the store manager at that location at the time. I do have the facts presented to me what happened at that time. Apparently, there was a cashier that was trained on how to handle a situation with selling of alcohol. We have a daily sign-in log that each cashier, every day before every shift, signs a sign-off log, just prompting them to remind them to card people that are a question of age. But what happened with this cashier was you have to actually put in date of birth off the license, and she decided to put in a different date of birth, allowing the sale to go through, and was apprehended. She was placed on suspension, later terminated, and she was fined $100 fine that she had to pay for at the time. And we have zero tolerance with the sale of alcohol at Price Chopper, so she was terminated. So that was pretty much the facts of that.
I have to attest that I go in there and they ask me, and I'm thinking, you know, so it's, I know that they're
Well,
very
you know,
strict.
we have a policy, if you look under 40, John.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
Usually, 'cause
if you're getting carded, feel good.
Thanks, John.
Yeah,
I really-
okay.
So that you know, we take any of these kinds of actions very seriously. Our training department worked with a Nicole Lynch at the Vermont Department of Liquor, and in January we became certified, and this is 167 pages of the training that the cashiers actually go through, and they have to pass it to be able to run a register. So that happened in January. And we also have software that at corporate, if, as John said, if there's cashiers who, let's just say they keep putting in their birthday, it will be flagged, and then there are consequences to those actions as well. So there's also things behind the scenes in case someone decides to do something that they shouldn't be doing. And every cashier that is under the age of 18, they have to have a supervisor approve the alcohol sale. A minor cannot sell alcohol. So we have really good policies in place to ensure that the sales are as we would all expect them to be.
Another thing we do with the cashiers at the beginning of each shift, we have a program what we call NABS, and it's an acronym for No Apron Before Safety and Service. And what that, it prompts the person that's coming in for the shift to go to the supervisor, and they review sale of alcohol, tobacco, whatever may be happening for the day, service message. So they get all that information, and they sign off on it every day of every shift.
And that works out really well. You know, you take a weekend like this past weekend with St. Patty's Day, with so many people consuming and purchasing. We have proms coming up. We have graduations coming up. So it's a great opportunity for us as operators to have those conversations with the cashiers, to be even more sensitive to who's coming through the lines. So it gives us that chance to have the dialogue one-on-one with them.
Is St. Patrick's Day a big drinking day?
Not at all.
I'm not Irish.
It's going to be a no drinking day.
Especially if you're
We appreciate everything you guys do, and I know that, you know, it's a big store, it's a big chain, and, you know,
We do take it serious,
Yeah.
very seriously.
it happens.
We do too.
It is a big part of our business, and we have to
Yeah,
protect it.
and you have to be, yeah.
So
Yeah.
are there any other questions? I just have one totally this related. When do you turn over to Market 30? When?
Market 32.
32.
32, I'm sorry.
Our official week to reopen as Market 32 is June 6th, the week of June 6th. That date may move a little bit, but the public will know.
Okay.
It'll be well advertised. So,
Market 32 is not gonna work for me, because we always say, I'm going down the Chapa.
That's okay, you can still call
Can
it
we
Chapel.
still go down the Chapa?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thanks, John.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your coming in.
No problem.
Now we have the Indo-American Grocery, and if you folks would love to come up, and you can introduce yourselves.
My name is Ashok Kumar. This owns the business on Elliott Street. Last year, inspector came in my store. They gave me 2 summons in one day. One because I was late for the seminar, and my all other family members, they have the seminar, they have the certificates. I was late for 1 month. And second seminar, they gave me for the payroll. My son was in the payroll last 2 years. Last January, he opened his own store. He was out from the payroll, and we hired another person. He was in the payroll. And when inspector came in my store, I called him to come in the front on the cash register. I'll have to talk to the inspector. And he came in the store, working on the cash register. And inspector asked me for, he's in payroll. I said, no ma'am, he's not in payroll. He was in payroll, but months before he opened his own business, he's not paying the payroll. And another guy we hired, he's in the payroll. And that's second someone, she gave me the payroll. That's it.
I didn't, you know, I was confused on the payroll end of it. You know, I didn't know we did that.
Right.
He was helped me just like 15-20 minutes when we go to the bathroom or for lunch. And the inspector told me if he's working like half an hour or 1 hour, you have to put on him payroll, you know. So that's why she gave me the payroll ticket, you know. So.
And I'm assuming you don't do that anymore?
No, I'm on the payroll now. So.
Are you?
Yeah. Now we put in for a couple hours.
You lucked out.
It's a $40 paycheck, you know, so.
Better paycheck.
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
So the education violation was that you were just late.
Yeah, we
Getting
got that.
educated.
Yeah, we got that. So.
Yeah.
Right
So that's all taken care of, and you're on the payroll
Yeah.
now. Okay. Is anyone else on the?
Oh, that one I was confused on, so I'm glad you.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That helped us understand. Thanks for coming. Now we have AB Squared doing business as Arkham. And this was the sale to a minor, your first such offense.
Yep.
Yep.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
Good.
Want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. I'm Alan Blackwell, and I own Arkham in Harmony Lot. And so the Department of Liquor Control had an individual come in and order a beer, which was, her ID was checked by my bartender, and she was underage, and she was served, and so we failed and got that violation. And ironically, it was one of my most diligent and cautious bartenders who was extremely upset by the incident. Immediately following, I paid the fines that came with it, and I had mandatory all-staff Department of Liquor Control recertification for everybody, and then followed that up with multiple mandatory staff meetings to discuss the changing clientele in town and how to make sure that it never happens again. I'm sure some or most of you might know that most of my clientele is within like 21 to 35 years old, so making sure that people are of proper age is extremely important, and I take it extremely seriously, and so does my staff, because we know how important it is and how big a consequence it is to be wrong.
You guys have really been under the radar. I mean, I was surprised when I read that you had a violation.
Yeah.
Because I know you're pretty strict about it.
We pay a lot of attention, and I am an extremely cautious person, and so.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this is all just an effort into, I guess, to keep us aware and keep us on our,
absolutely, and there's no
keep us on our
excuse for
toes.
it. It was a mistake, and it shouldn't happen. And
Does anyone on the board have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Jeez, sorry, I forgot you were there. Thank you.
I keep forgetting he's in there.
It's just recorded. And I don't know if
Just wanted to let you know I was still here.
and I don't know if Hillary, you can say no, you don't have anything to add, or yes. Do you have anything?
Hillary Francis, Town Clerk. I don't have really anything to add in that this comes directly from the DLC. They send me the notices and I report them to the select board. I would request, as you guys decide on a motion that you make, I know that we're still waiting on Hotel Pharmacy.
Yeah.
I would just request, if possible, that we approve, if we're approving these folks tonight and all the other ones that you already reviewed, if we can approve any that are approved to date so I can get them to the DLC, because they like to have them about a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's helpful to get them so that they can do what they need to do and get their renewals to these folks on time.
Right, because I think the last meeting we approved everybody but these, correct? So tonight, I'm assuming I'm speaking of.
No, we didn't.
Because we asked for more information.
Oh, we put the whole thing on
Yeah, we
hold?
did.
I misunderstood that too, Kate.
Yeah, I thought we did put it on.
Everybody else did.
I thought we approved.
We didn't formally do it, obviously. So we'll do that now.
Yeah, because I thought we did that too. I thought we approved everybody but these people.
And then asked for more information from DLC about other violators. So
Okay.
until we got that information, we did not
Okay.
know the approval.
So should the motion be rewritten?
Yeah, we need to, what we need to do is approve the annual liquor license renewals and outside consumption permits for basically everybody except Hotel Pharmacy.
That's correct.
Okay.
All applicants except
Yeah.
Hotel Pharmacy.
That's what we want to say. And next, at the first April meeting, Hotel Pharmacy is coming in.
Hillary, were they also, was everybody supposed to meet with, or do they constantly meet with, who's the other agency in town that kind of oversees?
Well, Cassandra, but
Cassandra.
she doesn't oversee it.
Well,
She's
I know,
just
but
I think she meets with them.
Runs, I believe
The
she
Prevention
runs
Coalition.
the Prevention Coalition.
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody's supposed to meet with her. I know that she works with a lot of the businesses who are liquor license holders, and some opt in to work with her and join, and some opt not to. And she definitely, I believe, works with those that choose to work with her and helps them think through, hey, your education seminar is about to expire. Let me remind you to do that, because I don't believe the DLC does.
Great.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I move we accept the 2018 liquor and outside consumption license renewals and entertainment permit renewals listed on the memorandum from March 2nd, 2018, with the exception of hotel pharmacy.
Nicely done.
We have a motion to approve the annual liquor license renewals for everyone except, at this time, hotel pharmacy. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, no, nay. Motion carries 5-0. And thank you, everybody, for coming in. We appreciate it. And we
John, I'll stop in to see you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
And we appreciate you doing business in Brattleboro. Thank you for doing business in our town. Would someone like to make a motion to convene as liquor commissioners?
Or adjourned?
We have a motion.
I
Oh, I'm sorry, adjourn. I'm sorry.
so moved.
We have a motion to unconvene as liquor commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Well, there goes our audience.
Yeah, nobody's here anymore, Tim.
This is Dale.
This is
No,
Dale.
Dale's here. Can't say no one. Next up, under new business, is the monthly financial report with
John, I'm going to miss this more than anything.
I bet you will. Thank you, Madam Chair. Like that?
Yeah, I do.
In your packet is the financial report for February. And as of the end of February, we were 66.7% of the way through our fiscal year. General fund expenditures stood at 67.7%, but after making our prorations that we make every month, that brings the percentage down to 63.8%, so below where we would expect to be. Utilities fund expenditures were 68.4%, parking was at 66.5%, and again, the utilities fund includes $161,000 in insurance expense and $425,000 in interest. And if we prorate those two items, it brings the utility fund expenditures down to 65.1% of the budget. So again, below where we would expect to be. Solid waste revenues were at 62.9%, expenditures 63.3%. And these include the bag revenue, curbside collection costs, and tipping fees through January. So February's have not been recorded at this point. Loans, we have $4,464,652 in outstanding loans. 3 of the loans had payments that were overdue, and 2 loans are in default and fully reserved. Program income shows that we have $427,301 for additional grants and loans as of the end of February. And finally, we have a grant report that contains information on 48 active grants and 10 grants that are in the application process as of the end of February. If you have some specific questions on any of the line items in any of the budgets that have been presented to you here, any of the financial statements contained in this report, I'll certainly try to answer those for you.
Does anyone have any questions for John? John, do you have some?
I wish I did. I even thought about it all night what I could ask.
You know, in the 5 years, I mean, you've just exhausted our questions. It's amazing, really, because there's so much I didn't understand. But
I do have to say, John, after the years working with you, it's been a pleasure because you really dumbed it down for me in a lot of ways. So I really appreciate it. But your office, you know, that is done a yeoman's work on that. So
thank you, John.
You've done a great job, and I
Appreciate
really
that.
appreciate it. And I think the town should appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
No other questions? Anyone in the public have any questions about the monthly financial report?
Yeah, Dale.
Hey Dale, go up to the mic.
Just one, what does it mean when you're in default and reserve?
It means that the loan, they have defaulted on the loan, but we've set up a fund to offset that loss. So we've set up a reserve to offset that loss. Yes.
Does anybody else have any questions for John?
That's a good question.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
I'm sure we'll see you Saturday.
She was going home now.
Next up is Windham Regional Commission matters, and we have two things this evening. Our annual report to the select board from our representatives, and then we're being asked to appoint town representatives. We have Elizabeth McLaughlin and Rod Francis, and they are appointed by the select board to represent the town of Brattleboro on the Windham Regional Commission, which is a 27-town organization, and I'm sure you folks will talk about that. So you want to give us your update? What's happened over the last year?
There have been two major pieces of work that Windham Regional Commission, well, three, counting Vermont Yankee. So Vermont Yankee and the delicensing process has been a key area of work for Windham Regional Commission, and as you know, they're a party to the Memorandum of Understanding up until they discovered that the bolts were loose on the caskets. So I think that's pretty much where we're at with Vermont Yankee. And the two other areas are the Clean Water Act, the number of which escapes me, I guess is Act 64. And then that has a lot to do. Windham Regional Commission has been working throughout the region, inventorying municipal roads as part of that process. And each town will be required to have what they call a general permit, describing and measuring the amount of stormwater runoff that is taking place on municipal roads, and then obtain a permit and then show improvement over time to the point where there is no measurable stormwater coming from municipal roads. And then the other significant area of work has been the reworked state comprehensive energy plan. And again, the Regional Planning Commission has been working with towns on revised chapters to town plans dealing with energy, revising their own energy plan, and working with towns who seek a higher level of participation in the siting of renewable energy resources in a so-called substantial difference mode before the renamed Public Service Board, which is now the Public Utilities Commission. So that's it for them.
Does anyone have any questions about what the Windham Regional Commission does?
Oh, I could go on and on about what they do.
In a general sense, like I don't know if people know.
No.
It's your last chance.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't mean that in a derogatory way.
No.
No, we didn't take it that way, of course.
No. What I was amazed at is what your budget is. It's large.
The Windham Regional Commission's budget?
Yeah.
It's not insignificant.
Are you talking about our contribution?
You mean our contribution?
No, not our contribution, but the overall.
Well, that's significant.
You know what
Because
you get.
that's, to me, the most significant part.
Yeah. Oh, our contribution?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But no, it was interesting because I don't keep up on you guys that much on the old WRC. You know what I'm saying? So it's.
Yeah. And, you know, the origin of most of their funding is state contracts. Right?
Yeah.
For implementing state programs to do with state processes.
So in the state, how many regional commissions are there?
11.
There's 11. And you cover over to, do you do Bennington?
Yep, no.
Weston.
No.
Although Weston is not part of Windham County, Weston is part of the Windham Regional Commission area.
So you go as far as like Searsburg?
Searsburg to the south, and then as far west as Reedsboro, and then up through Somerset, and then jagging out to Weston, and then back.
Yep.
A couple of questions, and it's not so much about what the commission does, is in the context of the economic hub conversations we've been having all along. our participation is contribution of 200 hours. That's on top of the fiscal, the financial contribution. And I'm assuming since probably aren't many towns in the county that have a planning office.
We are the only town with a planning office.
So there aren't
other towns have zoning administrators, and some other towns have economic development officers, but no other town in the region has.
So it's safe to say that the other municipalities don't put in nearly that amount of time, or they do it another way. So I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
I think other towns have got commissioners that participate in the working of Windham Regional Commission in equivalent amounts to what we do with Windham Regional Commission.
Just another example of what would happen if they didn't have. And those, I'm assuming that in very round figures, professional time is worth about $30 an hour, which means it's about 60. Well, I'm just thinking, 60 grand.
It's more than that. Let me just round up a little bit.
My hourly rate's a little higher.
Yeah, right. Even mine.
I'm trying to be conservative about it, but it's
that was very conservative.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably $10,000, $6,000 or $10,000 on top of the assessment, and the time that they're not spending within the. And do you like to have because you're a volunteer? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you spend 200 hours, or you spend 100 or something in between, or
me?
Elizabeth.
Collectively, between Liz, Sue, and myself, there will be at least 200 hours of involvement across the three of us.
Okay. So again, it's a pretty significant contribution to the economic health, not to mention the physical health with the brownfields and things like that in the region. So just put that in the box with all the other regional hub stuff. Great. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions about the Windham Regional Commission report from our two representatives?
No, thank you.
I still keep forgetting to get there. Do other states have something similar to what we have?
They have counties.
Counties.
County
Planning Commission.
County plan, yeah.
The Massachusetts has something vaguely similar. They have councils of government.
Yeah.
So there's the Franklin County Council of Governments, which is incredibly hard to say, and the acronym's even worse. So yeah, but for the most part, it's county. It's a substitute for county government.
And the Windham Regional Commission office is on Main Street in Brattleboro.
Yep.
Just if people don't know that, that's where they stab it. And just in case people are wondering.
Right.
Although they like to hold meetings in towns.
I know. Yes.
Apparently, it's the geographic center of the region.
Oh.
Right.
I think Townsend is the center of anything.
Sort of like the hole in the donut. Okay.
So our next order of business, you need us to reappoint you folks for another year as their representatives from the town.
Yep.
If you want.
You sure you want to do it? You're not under duress? Elizabeth? Oh, I think you are.
Planning is my
Wow.
Does anyone on the board have any comments or questions for either Liz or Rob? No comments
I
or
think we
questions?
should start before the motion. Is this your free and willing
Free act
knowledge
indeed.
to,
Free act indeed.
Free act indeed?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I move to appoint Elizabeth McLaughlin and Rob Francis as Brattleboro's representatives to the Windham Regional Commission for the period of April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2019.
We have a motion. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the motion on the board? Does anyone in the public have any comments or questions? Yes.
Yeah, I'm Dale Joy. And you say you do this voluntarily, you don't get paid at all for this?
I don't get paid, no.
Liz doesn't. It's part of my professional work.
For the town?
Yes.
So you get paid through the town to do this for the county?
No.
Is that correct?
For the Regional Planning Commission, yes.
Yeah.
But Liz and Rod are the town of Brattleboro's representatives on the Windham Regional
board.
Commission. Yeah, so
Okay.
they're working on behalf of all of us.
Okay, now I have another question for Rod Francis. Is that NEA grant that was not documented properly or anything that you did, I hope you're doing better documentation with this, correct?
Hey, Dale, one of the things.
Don't think I'm going to answer that question.
Yeah, 'cause
I don't think you should, because
well, we're gonna, and we sort of said in the beginning, we're gonna talk about that issue at a different meeting.
I'm talking about the documentation.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at a different meeting. Does anyone else have any comments or questions about, before we vote on Rod and Liz?
No, but I would like to, as my parting shot, thank you, both of you. Rod, it's been a pleasure working with you. Elizabeth, we didn't work a lot, but I knew you were back there. I knew you were there, so.
Thanks, John.
Confident.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion to appoint Elizabeth McLaughlin and Rod Francis as Brattleboro's representatives to the Windham Regional Commission for the period of April 1, 2018 through March 31st, 2019. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I miss our talks about fluvial erosion.
Okay.
Where did that go to? Is it still out there?
It also eroded.
I think they renamed it the River Corridor.
That's all, I knew that they renamed it. Okay.
Yeah. For some reason or other, fluvial geomorphology
It just didn't,
didn't catch on.
Next, we're being asked to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Brattleboro Professional Firefighters Association. And I'm going to let the town manager talk in more detail, but just as a general recap, their contract expired in 2016, and we have been working since then to come to an agreement. And we have, which we are helping.
And we have no one in the audience from them.
No, we have no one. And just so everybody knows, this is the last union or association, whatever they want to call, that we haven't approved contract with. We've already done a while back, we did police, we did the clerical and administrative people, and DPW and Parks and Rec. So this will, at least for this period, catch us up, and then we're going to start negotiations again.
Right. Man. So there's, I'll start it, actually, I provided a memorandum that's been part of your backup and out on the town's website since last Friday. Memorandum dated March 15th that summarizes this. And the final point I make in the memo, but I'd like to actually make it first tonight because it flows right with what you just said, is that we do have 4 collective bargaining units in the town, and in the past, those have been staggered. There were, most recently, at 3 separate cycles. So just about all the time we were in collective bargaining with somebody, and it made it hard to make sure that the outcomes that we were coming to were fair and equitable across all of the different employees of the town. So it's more efficient and I think a better process for the different groups of employees as well as for the town if the collective bargaining is occurring on a synchronized cycle with the 4 different units. By coming to terms with the firefighters, one of the benefits is that we're now back onto that synchronized cycle. We've achieved what we would set out to do with all 4 will now come due a year and a half, a little less than a year and a half from now, to begin a new 3-year cycle. And so a year from now, we'll be negotiating with all 4 units. You summarized correctly that it was 3 years ago, or not 3 years ago from now, but the beginning of the 2016-2019 cycle in the summer of 2016, that the expired contract with the firefighters lapsed, and we were in negotiations at that time. Later that fall of 2016, we came to a point where we were at impasse. And unfortunately, that impasse continued for quite a while. We went through the processes that are available to the parties when we reach a point where we can't agree on a contract, went through mediation, and we went through fact-finding. And those processes didn't actually resolve the matter. But recently, after the fact-finding process, we resumed having unassisted negotiations where we sat with the firefighters and worked hard together to find a place where we could rally around a contract that was acceptable to the firefighters and acceptable to the town, and able to put this round behind us. Importantly, that allows us to pay raises to the firefighters who have not received raises the last two July 1st when other employees were receiving raises. So there'll be retroactive pay that's part of this approval tonight if you do approve the agreement, as I hope you will. And then we'll be current with all 4 of the units, and next winter we'll commence the negotiations for the next 3-year cycle. So this is a really important positive outcome for us as well as for the firefighters who have already approved this contract. So with your action tonight, it'll be finally approved, and we'll just have to put the signatures on it and actually implement the contract. The one thing I'd like to call out is that there's a strikeout and underline draft of the tentative agreement that is on the town's website for anybody who may want to look at it to see what is changing. There's a lot that's changing. That doesn't reflect so much changed circumstance. What it reflects is a concerted effort on all parties to bring the document up to date for things that have changed over really a long period of time, over many years, not just in this last couple of years. And so it's bringing the document accurate with our current practices and our current agreements. So that there are substantive changes to the language, but most of that was not actually part of the negotiation. It was just part of collaborating to clean up the language. The focus of collective bargaining in most agreements is the wage increase, and the wage increases that we've agreed on in this contract are a 2% raise retroactive to July 1st of 2016, 2.5% retroactive to July 1st of 2017, and 2.5% that will be implemented on July 1st of 2018. Those are within the range of raises that we agreed to with the other collective bargaining units, which ranged in the last cycle from 1% to 3%. There were some variations there based on other aspects of the agreements that we reached with each individual union. Based on the fullness of all of that, I am happy to recommend to you approval of the collective bargaining agreement that's before you this evening.
Does anyone on the board have any questions?
Well, no.
John's last act, just to throw a monkey wrench in.
Jim, hang with me on this one. Could have lost Tim.
And I just want everyone to.
Oh, no. What? Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Just so like the public understands.
I'm driving, so it's sometimes hard to hear.
No, just so everybody out in the public understands, we have been involved in this as a select board every step of the way. So it's nothing that we're not unfamiliar with. We're extremely familiar with everything that's in this. So.
I think that's a really important point. That is true, as you said, every step of the way, and always is in the various negotiations with various bargaining units. Folks who pay attention to select board agendas and warnings undoubtedly have noticed that in the last month there have been 4 or 5 executive sessions, a couple of different times where that was the sole purpose of coming together around the content of what's in here. So we do, on behalf of the employees involved, I want to express appreciation to the board for the fact that you, on a few different occasions, in order to keep this moving towards this successful endpoint, had to come out at times when you're normally busy with your other jobs and so on. And it was good that we were all able, between the board, administrative staff, and the firefighters, were able to pull this together to a successful outcome.
Thanks for your work. Thanks for everybody's work on everybody's side.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah. Does anyone in the public have any comments or questions about the firefighters contract? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Brattleboro and the Brattleboro Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF Local 4439, for the period from July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2019, as presented.
We have a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Brattleboro and the Brattleboro Professional Firefighters Association. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much to Peter and Patrick, of course, firefighters, for all the hard work.
Next up is we're being asked to accept and appropriate a grant for bulletproof vests. and I'm assuming this is for the police department, in the amount of $4,053.08.
And that is the entire story. We recommend approval.
And that about sums it up.
It's an annual grant. We're entitled to the money, but we just have to apply for it and provide the proper documentation of how we've spent the funds in accordance with the grant. So we ask for your approval so that we can buy some more vests.
John, do you want to make the motion because it has 8 cents on the end and that always drives you nuts?
It drives me insane. Sure. I move to accept and appropriate a Bulletproof vest grant from the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the amount of $4,053.08 to purchase Bulletproof vests.
We have a motion to accept and appropriate a Bulletproof
You know me
vest
too well,
grant.
Kate.
I know you had to do it. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is, we have to have a public hearing for the Vermont Community Development Program Implementation Grant that we received on GS Precision. And basically, there's no action on our part, but we have to have a public hearing, and I know that someone's here that'll probably speak to it. So I want to open the public hearing, and would anyone like to say anything? Peter or Adam? Not Peter, Adam. Patrick or Adam?
Sure. Got a couple of things I could say.
Yeah, we're closing out, this is a closeout of the grant.
Absolutely. So in the life of a CDBG-funded project, there are 2 times when public hearings are required. First one is when an application is submitted, and the second and last one is upon closeout, and that's where we are this evening. We drafted a memo that described a little bit about some of the successes and impact of this project. It's in your package. It's also available on the town website, and I'd just like to highlight a couple of the main points. The project is now 100% complete. Total expense side of about $17.4 million. That's spent mostly on new construction and new equipment purchases. There's a little bit of property acquisition and, of course, some soft costs. As a consequence of the public funds that went into this project, GS Precision was required to create at least 31 new employment positions. And we're all pretty happy to see that as of December 31st of 2017, a total of 86 new positions had been created, and that all of these positions benefit from having employer-sponsored health care, which is really important. I'd like to report back to the board that GS Precision is current and making regular payments on the $200,000 loan they also received from the town's revolving loan fund, so that's an important tool in this project. And then lastly, I'd like to point out that the combined value of the 2 properties, 101 and 347 John Sites Drive, have increased now by almost 47%. It's important to remember that the previously existing value in those properties is being utilized for the purposes of taxes. So 100% of the value of what existed previous to the project is being utilized for taxes. There is a tax stabilization agreement for the improvement, and the town is receiving 35% for the next 10 years as a part of that agreement. But it's important to point out that even with that agreement, in place, the town and the state are receiving new tax revenue, and in addition to the employment positions that were created.
Great.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Adam, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but since you're here, I don't know if you want to say anything. You don't have to.
It's Adam, of course.
But why not?
Yeah, I just wanted to take the opportunity on behalf of the BDCC board to thank the town, the municipality, Patrick, Peter, for your leadership. You know, we were able to work with GS Precision and the state in a rapid response environment and get this project landed here in town and successfully completed. And this was a big part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, could you just explain the table on the bottom? It talks about the tax year in the schools in town existing and gain, and what do each of those things mean?
Sure. Well, there's data on the memo for 2 different tax years. And you can see on the far right-hand side that in 2016, GS Precision paid a total of $94,000 in property taxes. After the project, they're paying $125,000 in property taxes. Now, much of that, as you know, goes to the schools, but a substantial portion goes to the town, and that portion for the town is growing in addition to what's for the schools.
So then the big difference between what the school gained and what the town gained is that the school isn't stabilized.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And at the end of the stabilization agreement, when the full value is paid, if the stabilization agreement wasn't in place, the full value would be approximately $20,000 for the town of increase instead of the 7 increase that we have realized. But eventually that'll kick in. Even without that, even with the stabilized rate, the difference in total property taxes is about $30,000 a year, increase of $30,000 a year.
And when does the 10 years, it started in 2016?
2017.
Okay.
So it concludes in 2027.
We're just getting started. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Questions or comments from the public in our public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. We have no actions to take. And thank you. Thank you to BDCC. Thank you to the town. Thank you to GS Precision. Another successful grant.
Successful business expansion.
That's right. Next up is the assignment of motions on articles. I want to remind everybody, town meeting is March 24th at 8:30 at Brattleboro Area Middle School. Basically, what we want to do is go through and decide who makes what. And I think John should make the first motion since it's his last meeting.
Wow.
So preliminary motion 1. Are you okay with that, John?
Yeah, but it's going to get voted down.
That's why you're making it.
It's gonna get voted down?
Oh, God, yes.
That's why we're going to make John make motion 1.
Remember, we have to solve sit in circles now and.
Oh,
right. Yes, and sing Kumbaya.
Okay, I'll do number 2, preliminary 2. Brandon,
Wait a minute. I got to get this down. Me.
John's first. Brandon, no, you want to do Article 1? Yep. Just going right down. John, David, are you okay with that one? Article 2?
I can
I'm doing that
one. You're doing the preliminary motion too, Kate?
Yeah, I'm doing preliminary motion 2. Brandy's going to do Article 1. David will do Article 2. Tim, Article 3. Is that okay?
Is he gonna be on the phone?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. No.
Oh,
right.
Kim's not gonna be here?
Right. So,
Okay, so we'll go to-
John, you want to do Article 3? Do you have any objection to nominating Hillary?
She's not here, you can tell the truth.
I can do John, my cousin.
And wait a minute, you're doing
Article 4.
Article 4.
Figure that out before.
Brandy.
Not her cousin.
I like
Fisher
Bob.
and Fisher.
Absolutely. I'm all about the bow tie.
David, do you want to do? Don't you always end up doing capital grant review, or am I wrong?
I have no idea. I tend to be on
You're
it.
always So we don't put you on that
No, I'm happy. It's not a conflict of interest.
to nominate yourself.
Well, I won't be nominating. Somebody will nominate me instead.
Okay. Then David, John, you want to do Article 7?
Sure.
I'll do Article 8. Books for our library. Brandy, you want to do Article 9?
Yeah, sounds good.
David, you want to set our salaries?
Yeah,
That's Article 10. If you don't mind, John, can I do Article 12?
Yep.
Is that okay? Oh, you can do Article 13, John.
Good.
We'll just switch.
Hold on a second. You took 11, Kate?
Well, 11, there's no motion.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I'm going to do 12. And then we'll have John do 13, because it's skate park. And then, Brandy, do you want to do 14?
I guess.
16.
Yeah, I'll like
David, you want to do 16?
15.
Oh, I'm sorry, 15. I was not looking. Okay. John, do you want to
It's
do?
the downtown improvement
Do
district.
you want to do that? Yeah, you're definitely doing that.
You can read it tongue in cheek.
It's a softie now, anyway.
It will be tongue in cheek.
John. Brandy, do you want to do, oh no, I'm Article 17.
I'll do
that.
18.
Yeah, you can definitely do it.
The human services?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brandy will do.
I like that better than roofs.
See, I think Brandy should do Article 18.
Thanks.
She is.
You did?
Yes.
That one.
Oh, wait a minute, so are you
It's
doing?
only half, you only have to do this.
That's a long one.
That is a good one. Yeah.
So David, you want to do Article 19?
I will do that.
$300 for cleanup day?
I'm behind that.
You have to read both there.
John, do you want to do Article 20?
Sure.
John's doing Article 1. Brandy, will you do Article 21, which is the 10,000 for
Oh, yeah.
energy? Because I would like to do
Hey,
Article 22.
Tim, you're skating on a lot of these, you know.
Hold it, who's doing 20?
Brandy's,
Kill 'em
John's
again.
doing 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandy's going to do 21.
Okay.
I'm going to do 22.
Yep.
And will you do you want to do
The sidewalk?
23, David? Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Okay. John, do you want to do 24?
Sure.
Oh, wait, you know what? I'll do 24 and you do 25, the last one. So you're going to do the first one and last
Oh,
one.
boy.
Oh.
Don't you think
Wow.
so?
Yes.
That's special.
I like it.
Does that make sense to everybody? And what, we'll have this waiting for
Take
us.
this home and practice on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it home and practice.
Yeah, practice reading them. So again, just a reminder, town meeting, March 24th, which is Saturday, 8:30 at the Brattleboro Area Middle School.
Be there, be
And now,
square.
David, is there a school meeting tomorrow night?
There is a, yes, thank you, Kate. Tomorrow night, the school board will present the budget to the representatives at 7 PM at Oak Grove School. And the caucusing will be ahead of that. So come at 6:30 if you're interested in being a representative.
And John, would you like to make your final motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
All those in favor of accepting John's motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm not voting on it, I want to stay.
Motion carries, and we're gonna clap for John. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, John, and John will be at the meeting on March 24th. So there's
Thanks, Tim.
one more appearance.
All right, thank you.
Okay, stop driving now. Am I supposed to?